Welcome to episode 9 of the Endless Stream podcast. I am Aidan, and as usual I'm here with Kevin and Brian. We are 3 artists, illustrators and filmmakers that will be taking some of the endless stream of content provided to you by Netflix, Amazon Prime, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your content. We're going to take a chunk of it and we're going to watch it and talk about it. Given the nature of these discussions, they're very spoiler heavy, so if you haven't seen Jupiter's Legacy or Castlevania, maybe go off and watch those shows and come back and join the conversation. If you like what you hear, please consider subscribing to the podcast or following us over on Instagram. All of our socials are at The Endless Cast. All that being said, let's get into the episode. I finished out Jupiter's Legacy. Once I guess, binged it all, it was much more manageable, a thing to, I guess, watch. I was a little happier with it. We can go into that in a bit. I'm nearly finished Castlevania Season 4.
Castlevania.
I enjoyed that show, but I guess there is room to talk about it.
I know I watched some episodes of the first season, and another buddy of mine who wasn't the anime at all, I just happened to talk to him about it, and he loves, he texts me now saying how the latest season's out. But I know the first couple of episodes I watched, I was really, really impressed. Love Season 1.
Yeah. I think there's a lot in it to enjoy, but I also get very, very bored in it in places. So it's always a slight battle between this is a cool animation and I'm really bored now. There's a bunch of trailers again this week, which we can talk about.
I was back to work, so it was a bit hectic, but I did finish Jupiter's Legacy. I finished Solar Opposites. Didn't get to read anything this week. But yeah, I finished Jupiter's Legacy and Solar Opposites.
I was checking out Yasuke on Netflix. Played through Resident Evil Village, rather. And watched Promising Young Woman. I think that was about it this week.
Oh, I haven't heard of that. Oh, that's the Oscar one, is it?
I wonder now, having watched Castlevania, will Netflix start pushing Yasuke on me? Because I've not even seen a thumbnail for it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what happens now. Promising Young Woman, Kev asked, I guess, was that the Oscar... Did it win?
I think it was nominated for a screenplay. I think it won. That category, yeah.
So as it won an Oscar, you decided you should watch it. Got it.
Well, no. I actually tried to watch it last year on VOD. But...
What's it about, Brian?
What is it about? It is... I'm trying to think of a short synopsis so as not to give it away.
Is that the one where the lady has like kind of multicolored hair and she's in a nurse's uniform?
Yes.
I've not seen it.
Yeah, that's a fairly striking image that they do seem to be using for the marketing. But like the first trailer I saw of it was spending more time in...
Do you have the knife again?
What's Kevin doing? Oh, sorry.
He threatens me with a knife. He threatens me with a knife when I talk.
It's the right shape for my hand. I can chew on it because it's plastic. I can dig the dull end into my head and gently tap myself with the sharp end.
He says it like he doesn't point the sharp end into his face and eyes.
No, I'll admit it.
But yeah, So I will watch Promising Young Woman then if it's good. Is it kind of a movie that you could chill out and watch, or is it more of a deep thinker?
Oh God, no.
Okay,
God,
I was concerned about that. I don't know anything about I don't know anything about the synopsis.
No.
Okay.
You don't know what it's about.
I have no idea.
No. I mean, you absolutely should know. Going in.
Give us the synopsis, Brian.
What's the synopsis? I won't give it away.
I mean, they like we preface this as very spoiler heavy podcast, and like there's a lot in the trailer.
Yeah, I'm just trying to.
So I mean, I think you could.
I'm trying to just recall. Yeah, what is in the trailer? Essentially, Kerry Mulligan, for reasons that are kind of revealed in the film, she gets picked up at nightclubs and bars and stuff like that by guys.
Is it like a revenge movie?
Yes.
Yes, that's all I need to know. Perfect. I'll watch it. I love it.
Yeah, it's not an easy watch.
Is it worse than? Is it worse than? Because I didn't really mind it as much because I like revenge movies, but Emer often discusses "I Spit in Your Grave" the remake as a pretty horrific movie. Is it worse than that?
It's not as graphic.
Okay.
But in ways it is worse. It's at least as
But
bad.
can I've never I am the biggest softy with this sort of movie. I can barely handle like horror movies of any sort. Jaws intimidates me. Like I know going in, like Jaws I've developed a love for over time, but like as a kid it's a scary movie. I'm not going to watch it. I Spit in Your Grave is the impression I have of it, having not watched it. It's a rape revenge movie. Last House on the Left, I think, is a similar vein. But they do fall into a degree of, at least historically, a kind of exploitation film as well, where it's like enjoying seeing people get their comeuppance and stuff. So does this fall into that sort of like a horror schlock revenge fantasy type thing, or is it a little more pointed, a little more
it's much
I guess serious?
Yeah,
about
it's much more grounded.
Okay.
It's
socially aware or whatever, culturally aware.
It's much more grounded. It's there are black comedy elements to it, but it's a much more. It's less exploitative, you know. So obviously it's a really sensitive subject as well. So even though it isn't as graphic as, let's say, either the films Kev was mentioning, it's still potentially very upsetting, given the subject matter.
But she's a sex worker who obviously gets like horrifically assaulted or attacked or something, and then she.
No. She.
Okay. Look, I'll watch it.
I think, given the subject matter, given the Oscar nomination, it's not a good idea to try and guess the narrative of this film.
It's like the title kind of gives you some idea. She's a medical school dropout. She's living with her parents, and she is just kind of dedicating her life to revenge. So like the idea being, like a promising young woman, given like an event happens, and the film then is her dealing with
Okay.
kind of essentially getting revenge for that.
Okay, I'll watch it.
It's very good.
Yes.
It's very good.
Okay, well that's good. Yeah.
But
it's a tough watch.
it's a tough watch. It's very good. It also, trying to think without giving stuff away.
I know when I'm sold on it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say maybe there's an element that there's an element of it where it's very satisfying to watch guys get their comeuppance. But that's not what it's about either necessarily. But again, I don't want to kind of essentially, if you're going in thinking how satisfying it is to kind of watch, people get their comeuppance.
Yeah, like John Wick killing people because they killed a puppy.
It subverts that too. So yeah, just I guess don't go in completely blind, because it's a good watch, but
it's a little bit harrowing.
It's tough, yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say I did watch two movies last weekend. One of them was really, really bizarre, and can I even think of it? There was a movie called Happily with Joel McHale, is it, from The Community?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it was called Happily yourself. And him and his wife are like, say, like 20 years married or something, and they are still like kind of very happy, like kind of like they're still like have a very active sex life and all that kind of stuff, and all their friends are kind of like just not happy and stuff. And then they were meant to be going on a retreat together, where basically all them and their friends are meant to be going on a retreat together, but their friends kind of be like, no, you're too annoying, like no one's as happy and no one's having this like it's great sex and it's sex as much as you guys, and no one kind of you're too happy, where everybody else is in kind of like toxic and kind of just like mundane like relationships or whatever. And this guy shows up to Joe McKay's house with his wife, but this guy shows up. It's the man from The Office with staples. Can't think of his name.
The Office or Office Space?
Office Space.
That's Steve Root.
I think it's him. Was he in True Blood as well?
The vampire in the basement who's tied to the
Yeah,
the deck chair.
yeah. He's a phenomenal actor, but he's in this.
He's amazing. He's in Barry.
Is he? Yeah.
He's
I'm not watching that,
Hobbs.
yeah, he's excellent. But basically, he's in it, and he tells them that they're defective, and that he's going to inject them, and they'll be fine, and they'll be like their friends, normal and kind of like semi miserable, semi happy, never really content type of thing, And the girl kills him, and they bury the body, and they go to the couple. Then they get invited to the couple's retreat, anyways, and they think it's either like Joe McHale's like it's either a prank or what that guy said is real, and like kind of whatever, but it's then them trying to get to the bottom of it. It's a really weird movie. Andre from The League is in it. There's an actress who was in Dead to Me. She's in it. There's a few people you'd recognize, but it wasn't great. And then we watched that Amanda.
Who's Andre in The League?
Brian hates him. He did the Marvel 616 Earth thing.
Who's the guy from Big Mouth?
It's not the guy from Invincible. It's the other guy.
No, that's Jason Mantzoukas. We're in the same wheelhouse. Paul Scheer?
I don't hate Paul Scheer.
He's bald. Kind of creepy.
That sounds like Paul Scheer.
I think you're talking about Paul Scheer, but I hate the.
Oh, well, you didn't like the.
I hate the.
You didn't like the League.
Yeah, I hate the League.
Was he? Did he wear hats in The League?
He was just a loser guy. He was actually brilliant in the League, but Brian doesn't like the League, so whatever. Brian. Ugh.
The League is trash.
That's me being more cynical.
It's a trash show.
It's not a trash
for
show.
trash people.
Me. Well, okay, that's strong. I was like, I can't really argue with you.
You're a
trash.
garbage person, Kevin. You're garbage.
I'm thinking of Nick Kroll. Do you hate Nick Kroll, Brian?
No.
I don't like Nick Kroll. He has too much saliva in his mouth.
Do we hate him because he's damp?
No, it's not that he's damp. I have no issue with dampness. It's the fact that his mouth is full of saliva.
But he's not in Happily. It's Paul Scheer, right?
Yes, it's Paul Scheer.
Okay.
And then I watched that movie Things Seen and Not Heard, and I don't even remember the end of it. It was pretty rough. The Amanda Siegfried or whatever her name is.
That reminds me, actually, I watched Jennifer's Body also, which I hadn't seen before.
I've never seen that.
You've never seen Jennifer's Body?
I hadn't seen it, yeah. Kind of.
Not as good as Juno, and
I didn't like Juno. I thought I preferred this to Juno, I would say.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Jennifer's Body was based on a comic book, as far as I remember, as there was a comic book of it.
I don't know.
Is Amanda Seyfried Jennifer's Body?
She is. That's
okay, I was wondering how you got there.
That's what reminded me. Yeah, that's all right.
It's Megan Fox and Amanda Seyfried, I think.
Seyfried. No G.
I haven't watched Jennifer's Body in ages. What do you think of it, Brian?
I liked it. I'd seen a couple of other films by the director that there's I think it was called The Invitation. It's kind of a slow burn horror film. Yeah, I really like that. That was a good film.
Really good.
So yeah,
your man in that's brilliant as well. The main guy,
Tom Hardy.
No, it's not Tom Hardy.
I know it's not Tom Hardy.
I get it confused.
Is it
with
the
him
guy
and
that's a
another
bit like Tom Hardy?
Tom Hardy. He looks like Tom Hardy.
What's the movie?
Which, The Invitation?
The Invitation.
Yeah. There's the guy. He's in that movie Upgrade,
which is Tom Hardy's Venom.
I'm blanking on his name.
Is he in Jack Reacher?
No,
that's the Australian guy you're thinking of.
But I get them confused. One of them was in Suicide Squad.
That's the guy from Jack Reacher.
But the Upgrade guy is not the same guy.
I think we're doing it again.
We are doing it again.
Upgrade is a Venom movie that should have been Venom, and actually that actor would make a cool Eddie Brock.
The guy that's a bit like Tom Hardy.
So would Tom Hardy.
Jai Courtney.
Jai Courtney is in Jack Reacher. Logan Marshall Green is the Tom Hardy lookalike in Upgrade. I think he was also in Prometheus, possibly. I'm not sure.
Yes, yeah. He's a good actor.
He's a good actor. He's in Spider-Man Homecoming.
No, he's not.
Logan Marshall Green.
Yeah. He's the first Shocker, I think. And then Keaton Vulture accidentally kills him. Because he's getting mouthy.
Yeah.
So that's Logan Marshall Green.
You're the Shocker now. I thought that was the gravity gun.
Yeah. So Logan Marshall Green is in The Invitation, which was directed by Karen Kusama, who also directed Jennifer's Body, which I liked. I thought it was good.
Did she direct Juno as well?
No, I don't think so.
But Juno and Jennifer's Body, the same author.
Same writer, but Diablo Cody, yeah.
Yeah. I don't really know any. Because I know she was like kind of huge with Juno, and then the follow-up was Jennifer's Body. I don't know if Jennifer's Body was as well received. Is she still kind of...
I think it sort of developed a cult thing after the fact. Did she do United States of Tara?
Oh, did she do that?
She did... I just blanked. I was about to... She did a Young Adult with Charlize Theron. That was good.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jennifer's Body was very much kind of slated because it was a Megan Fox vehicle, and reviewed by mostly men. So it's a film written and directed by women about two women, and Megan Fox was kind of almost kind of getting cancelled silently because people just kind of viewed her as the way she was portrayed, and she'd kind of spoken out about a few things. And I think people were just not ready to like her or give her credit for it.
Oh, I don't kind of have any particular. I think I liked it more than Juno. That's the only thing. I think I liked it more than Juno, but I can't really remember. Yeah,
I mean, he just got up and walked away from the microphone talking. So
sorry, I was cold. I think I liked it more than I can't remember to be honest. But Jennifer's Body, yeah, it's a.
But I think they're very again. I haven't seen Jennifer's Body, but they're drastically different things, But by the looks of Jennifer's Body, it's slightly different. I guess I'll give Jennifer's Body a look because it's on. I have a copy of it available to me, and I just keep looking at it, going, "Oh, I must watch that." And I've seen a few people doing cool
worth a watch.
art off the back of it. And,
there's some really nice shots in it as well.
I was watching Dave Bautista saying he's kind of done playing Drax, and he thinks that Marvel have underserved the character, and they're not telling the story of Drax. And while
Snyder got into his head. Yeah.
Or gun.
You should be working for DC, man.
Oh, Jesus, yeah. For the Army of the Dead end of things. While I understand the importance an actor puts on the narrative of their own character, I do think there's a little bit of not seeing, I guess, not seeing where Drax actually fits in the grand scheme of things. He's kind of comic relief from the get-go, because he sort of expressed dissatisfaction with the way that Drax the Destroyer became the comic relief, and they've dug into that more and more and more. But the fact that he couldn't handle metaphor or took things literally was the very first joke that they hit with him, and they stayed with that. He wants to get into Drax's narrative of his loss of his family and the whatever. There might absolutely be a Shakespearean tale of loss and gain and royal houses and whatever the hell else goes on in Drax's universe. I'm not really familiar with the backstory, but you are comic relief on a team of fucking 6 in a movie of 20 different fucking franchises. Marvel might come around to it, but
he just wants more money, probably.
But I was gonna say, when actors do this type of stuff, is it fruitful? If he's doing an interview and he's saying about this and this, it's is that not I would imagine that's just gonna kind of ruffle people's feathers, burn bridges, and people aren't going to be as keen.
I that's kind of where I would feel about it as well. If he's happy, I mean, Guardians is going to have been 10 years of his career by the time he finishes Guardians 3. So it's perfectly understandable for him to want to just extricate himself from a contract and move on. He's in other things. That's great. It is just as an external observer, I don't think they're ever going to dig into Drax and give him a standalone movie.
No.
The same thing with Dominic Purcell on Legends of Tomorrow, where he plays Mick not Mick Foley, Mick something or other, the Captain Freeze from the Flash universe,
Yes,
Captain Cold.
yeah.
And like he's put a bunch of things up on Instagram talking about the lack of vision and foresight of the producers of the show. They just couldn't see where Mick's story could go, and they underserved the character. And it's like you're the grunty muscle guy in the background of.
That has to just be the ego in the industry of everybody thinking that like everybody wants to see them develop more, and like they deserve more time, and they deserve, like, you know, I'm the star of the show. You need me. I don't need you.
Yeah, I don't grudge people the ambition and their investment in their own characters, but there's got to be a degree of you're Mick in the back of Legends of Tomorrow. You're not launching a franchise off of him, you know. Hemsworth talks about Thor as if his expressions of what he wants from the character had an effect on where he went. You know, the cutting the hair, the leaning into the comedy, the changing more sci-fi. Like he does talk a little bit about, you know, I don't want to put words in his mouth either, but like I know that like he expressed how he wanted the Thor character to go, and whatever other dealings and conversations went on, that's kind of the direction it went, and it has worked out well for him. But he's literally the lead of a fucking franchise at that point. It's not, you know, Drax.
Yeah, like Drax is essentially expendable. Like he's a character we like, and he's very much a part of the Guardians of the Galaxy. And if he was killed off, it'd be devastating. However, it would not be the same as Gamora or Peter Quill.
Well, I mean, yeah, and there you go. That's my.
I think
that.
Somebody had asked him during the week or a week previous why he wasn't in Gunn's Suicide Squad, and I think his answer was something to the effect of that he got more money doing Army of the Dead than he would have gotten doing Suicide Squad. So I don't know if there was an offer for a role in Suicide Squad, or if he was just saying that what he ended up being paid for Army of the Dead was higher. But I'd imagine those comments then are kind of coming from a place where, you know, he's probably feeling like he's undervalued given that how, not even necessarily stalling, but just, you know, he's got people's favorite line or one of their favorite lines from Infinity War, you know. So even though he is comic relief, he does bring a lot to it, and he's probably feeling like, well, you know, I should guess that should be reflected on my next paycheck, and that's fair enough, I guess. You know, just given that his comments have been about money, I'd imagine that's kind of where it's coming from, and he's saying, fuck it, why be diplomatic about it, you know?
The former wrestler thing is always eyeballing The Rock's career. Has to be.
Yeah.
And the fact that I give lots of credit to Dave Bautista. He's done a really great job in the role of Drax, and I really liked him in Blade Runner as well. I do think he played, for the man his size, he played that so small, and like it's one scene, but I think that one scene brought a lot to a character. So I am kind of curious to see what he can do, you know, in these other roles. You know, like ultimately that scene did end in a big fucking fight, but you know, it was one man quietly living his existence, kind of afraid a guy was going to show up and try and kill him. And I was like, this is kind of cool from Dave Bautista. So I can see him kind of being, you know, 10 years into the franchise that he was overjoyed to be involved with to begin with, going, it's time to move on. I just think framing it as Drax needs his own standalone thing, or he's being undervalued, is kind of like, right, okay, let's move on.
Would you watch a Drax series or Drax movies? A Drax movie?
Based on what I've seen, I watch anything fucking Marvel, basically. You put it in front of me, I'm going to watch it. Though I haven't watched Lock and Key or...
Do you mean Cloak and Dagger?
Cloak and Dagger, yeah.
And
or The Runaways, or, yeah, like there's a lot of the TV stuff I haven't watched. You'd have to show me something really interesting with Drax to make me care.
Cloak and Dagger was actually interesting, but I didn't finish it.
Because they haven't given Drax a sympathetic narrative or a humane narrative that you can actually invest in. He goes on about the death of his wife in the first movie, but it's big and it's broad and it's shouty and it's comedic. You know, it's not going to pull me into a TV series where I watch him.
Yes, it's basically like I'd rather see other characters get their own TV series before Drax.
You have to do so much to humanize him and bring him back from the comic relief to make him watchable in a standalone way.
I don't think that's the way to go either, because I mean, Hemsworth was worried with Infinity War that it was going to undo all the kind of lightness and comedy he brought to the character in Ragnarok. So
yeah,
I don't think it would make sense to do give Drax a Disney Plus show where it's grim and serious, because nobody that likes Drax wants that. In the same way that people were kind of saying, we don't want this serious, traumatized Thor in Infinity War. Give us more Ragnarok.
But you see, you're right then. But what he needs then is another ensemble around him, and basically what you're looking at is the Tick.
Yeah,
you know, a big dumb action thing that's, you know, there is a narrative around him, but he's kind of pointed at what to do by the rest of the cast. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm selling myself on a Tick style show with Drax. I've done my own fucking pitch on this. I need to go and write a spec script, I think.
But then, is that not just Guardians of the Galaxy without Chris Pratt? And then would Chris Pratt not be saying, "Hey, why is Guardians of the Galaxy the Drax show now?" You know, because that's effectively what Star-Lord is in Guardians. You know, he's. But anyway.
Yeah, but I want a tiny budget on a streaming service that nobody watches. All right, let's move on from Batista. There's a Venom trailer. Did y'all watch that?
No.
Yes.
You didn't even watch it, Brian?
No.
Did you not enjoy the first Venom?
No.
Did you watch the first Venom?
I did. It's bad.
Okay. Did you not enjoy it?
I did not enjoy it.
You got Tom Hardy playing Charlie Day.
Yeah. It's weird.
Or what's his name in Always Sunny? Charlie
Kelly. Yeah.
Charlie Kelly, yeah. It's a weird choice, isn't it?
Why is he so sweaty?
Because he's a symbiote in his.
No, I mean just
buddy.
generally, like it. He just looks so sweaty. What's going on with Tom Hardy?
Yeah.
What's up with him?
Is it filmed in San Francisco? Is he meant to be based in San Francisco? Why do I think
it's
that?
based in San Francisco anyway? I don't know if they actually film it there or not.
Okay, it's based in San Francisco. Yeah. Human in San Francisco. Has anybody been?
Haven't been.
Haven't been.
Have been. Now that you say it was like, yeah, I have been to San Francisco.
God, he's so
I forgot that.
privileged.
Yeah, I don't remember a hell of a lot.
It was a good week in San Francisco then, I guess.
No, it was just
go on, tell us.
No.
Daddy didn't bring me to Disneyland. He brought me to Warner Brothers instead, and I hated it.
It was a couple of our friends were doing, like, they were promoting like a short film that they had, and they got to tour a couple of studios and stuff, and it was kind of a whirlwind week kind of thing. So we drove in from Los Angeles and arrived in San Francisco really, really fucking late. And then just woke up and like walked the streets of whatever part of, didn't know where the hell we were. I didn't want to say streets of San Francisco. We walked around for a while.
I would have hummed the theme tune if I could remember it.
Yeah,
but I can't.
yeah.
I'll just interject with Michael Douglas. There we go.
But I had no real sense of where the fuck I was. Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't see the bridge or anything, you know? Like, I just woke up in another city and walked around a bit, and it's like, okay. And then we went to Pixar.
Just name drop, you motherfucker.
Huh? We went to Pixar. It was fun. We sat in the canteen.
Did you meet a Tom Hardy or a Venom?
No.
Or that.
Mark Andrews?
Other person.
The guy that directed Brave. He was very nice. And we met Scott Morrison. He gave us a book.
Very cool.
So you are name dropping.
Yeah, now I'm name dropping. But I'm also like recovering memories from.
Oh, I don't remember my time in San Francisco. Oh, I met this director and this Scott Moore gave me a book.
Turns out I was in San Francisco. Anyway. Look, just don't get me started on Tokyo.
Did ye like Venom?
Oh
I
God, no.
wanted to, but no.
I wanted
Yeah,
to. No.
it's bad.
Anytime I see a motorbike doing a sort of motocross jump over things,
I get an erection.
I tend to think this is shit. I don't know why I associate motorbike stunts with just shit movies, but
Because we're from the early we would have grown up watching like the
Triple X.
the,
X
yeah,
Games.
but like 90s and early 2000s, where kind of if you wanted to have a badass character, he was definitely wearing black, possibly clad in leather, and driving a bike over jumps or
with
through
fire going off
boxes.
under, it goes woo, and
It's like
it
we
like
literally-
lifts into the air.
But like we had Highlander, we had like Renegade, the TV show, we had like kind of, you know what I mean? Like it's like everything was just all bike stunts for so long on, and like kind of like 90s action TV.
Yeah. So my association with, when they confronted with the character of Venom, who is basically a kind of quasi Spider-Man clone as a character and skill set, they stick him on a motorbike and do motorbike stunts and then have him like shooting out tendrils a bit in the air. The moment I saw that in the trailer, I went, I don't like this. Same thing when I saw Captain Kirk on a fucking motocross bike in Star Trek 3. I was like, why is this happening? But then Justin Lin directing, so like you bring in his Fast and Furious skill set.
Yeah, Venom.
I don't know what to make. Like the first Venom, other symbiote wanted to get back to space and get other symbiotes to come back to Earth. Was that the story? I remember a fight on the outside of a shuttle. Like I did watch it. What people are responding to is the kind of,
Charlie Kelly energy.
schizophrenic conversations. Yeah, the odd couple energy, I guess, between Charlie and Venom. I guess there's a little bit of like a Little Shop of Horrors vibe as well when like they're making breakfast.
Yeah, there is kind of that kind of stuff. But Venom has 6.7 IMDb and 29 on Rotten Tomatoes. I always held IMDb at a higher.
No, IMDb is just people rating movies.
So what's better?
Nothing's better.
Nothing's better than forming
Nothing's
your own
better.
opinion.
So you're saying nothing's better than IMDb? I get you.
Finding a critic whose opinion you value. There's so many critics. It's even shifted as a job in the last 20, 30 years, because there was a degree of thought or weight or authority behind the review of a critic, even if you disagreed with them, whatnot, but now you get me and Brian on a microphone giving our opinions, and everybody's a fucking critic. That's fine, and that's the way it is. I do think there is some value in finding somebody whose opinion you kind of are on a similar wavelength of, and if you need an opinion going into a movie, go and see what they say. And
I thought it was very funny though. One of the episodes before, you said that you hate critics, and I think this literally is a critical podcast.
it kind of is, yeah, I do. But like, I dislike a critic that goes into something and flatly shits on it, even though it's just clearly not for them, and you're not reviewing it from a place
fair.
of any information or any objectivity. So, you have all of the information going into something like a Speed Racer, and you didn't enjoy it, and that's fine. Not to talk about the war, but like,
But then at the same time, though, I personally would very, very, very rarely ever read a review of a movie I'm looking forward to. Actually, I never read reviews really. I might hear stuff from you guys, but I'll never actively pursue like reviews or anything that's non-spoiler reviews. I never look at any of it, If I'm searching movies and I have it down to 2 movies, I could be like, which one rates better, and I'll watch that one first because potentially it could be second. I could be asleep at a second. But I don't know. Like I think being like movie reviews and critics and stuff, it's so subjective. It's like we've talked about it before, but it's like I don't know. Like even if I'm looking forward to a movie and I read a review from someone I kind of respect and they tell me it's shit, ultimately I'm going to make up my own opinion and see it anyways, and I could love it,
Yeah, but what you like is subjective. But I think the role of a decent critic is to objectively look at the film and where it sits in the genre or in the whole canon of what they're trying to review. There are objective things like, you know, did they remember to turn the fucking camera on? Do I see the boom? Like, is this poorly made? But after that, it's like, is this a good example of the type of film I've come to watch, you know? And if you hate superhero movies, if it is just not your fucking thing, then you're not the person to walk into a room and judge whether or not superhero movies are any good. Venom, I did not enjoy it. Venom and Carnage, I don't know.
I don't have any hope.
I always want to like Woody Harrelson since Cheers. I don't know. I think this is one of these things where we're getting a sequel because it managed to make some money more so than it's any good. Like Aquaman.
You sure you're fucking mad.
People like Aquaman.
I get why people liked Aquaman though.
There's an octopus playing the drums. A mermaid lady plays a wind instrument. There's a lady.
It's on Amazon. Check it out.
Amber Heard is sitting after like some shit goes down and she's on a little boat trying to go somewhere. She's sitting on the boat playing a flute. It's a wind instrument.
Is she playing it underwater?
No, she's playing it above water. But how does she learn how to play a flute? And why does an octopus play the drums? Why is there so much kind of like, say, swimming and shouting? There's a lot of just scenes of lads kind of coming up from the bottom of the screen, float, like kind of swimming towards the top and just going, ah! Apparently Jason Momoa has offered his suggestions to where Aquaman and the second movie should go, and producers and directors and writers have really taken it on board.
Okay, I foresee axe throwing, more beer drinking.
Yeah.
Artisanal handmade fixed gear bikes.
Yes, women's, men, and more jumpers. Have you seen? Zack Snyder has said that he has been tortured by Warner Brothers.
I did not know.
Yeah, I didn't read the article really at all, but the headline definitely says. Zack Snyder says Warner Brothers tortured him by finishing the Justice League.
What is his fucking endgame? Just move on from superhero shit, would you, Dak? Back to zombies with you.
Why didn't he just focus on his new movie? Like, kind of... Like, I don't know. This is my whole thing about it. Like, man, it's like, okay, you're not going to get your trilogy, you know? And, like, kind of, I guess... Like, part of me would have been interested to see some of it, but then not really. I do feel sorry for the guy who was cast as Green Lantern. But, like, it's like, you got your movie, dude. Move on now, you know?
I kind of want the Ben Affleck Batman. I want nothing to do with Snyderverse. But I want, like, Affleck wrote a script, right? Now, that might not be a good script. And I'm not saying we need to make that script. But I think he did a good job as a Batman. And, you know... He's been hurt in the past with Daredevil, you know, and John Woo's paycheck. I mean, he's trying hard, guys.
Paycheck's all right. I think
it fucking isn't.
The accountant's good, but I think we should, because you watched me watch Speed Racer, we should go back and watch Daredevil sometime and watch it.
Ben Affleck's Daredevil.
No, it's a very different movie. It's great.
You see, the thing there was you hadn't seen Speed Racer. Mm-hmm. But we've all seen Daredevil, and we don't need.
Have you seen the director's cut?
Yes, and we don't need to revisit it. Yeah.
I'm going to watch it this weekend again.
I had at one point I had Daredevil and the Daredevil director's cut on DVD here, and like I would defend those films, and I would say that the director's cut is better than the first one, and the theatrical cut, and the theatrical cut is better than people think it is. And I enjoyed Daredevil.
I'd agree. But we don't need to review it.
Then Marvel started making movies, and suddenly I realized what good superhero movies could be, and I went, okay, I'm not watching Daredevil again.
I think Daredevil, like, you know, it played its role in like the popularity of movie. Oh God, I love
it. Served its purpose as a stepping stone to superhero movies being better.
All of this time, I can't believe I'm going to see You were there in front of me. Evanescence.
Yeah, I was like, I'm assuming he's trying to sing Evanescence, but he's singing the bit people don't necessarily know.
You coughed your lung up there, so could you do it again without coughing? Can we have another take, please?
All of
I
this
just
time,
start
I can't
with
believe
Wake
I
Me
gotta
Up.
see. Wake me up inside. I can't wake up. Wake me up inside. Somebody say. I can't remember. It's been a while.
Yeah, you wandered into the Smallville theme tune.
Yeah, it did, didn't it? Yeah. I don't even remember the theme tune.
So there was a trailer for The Green Knight went up. That movie's been on hold through the whole pandemic.
I don't know what this is. What's it based on? You sent it to me. I watched some of it, and then I had to skip through it because I thought I was waiting for the Green Knight.
So The Green Knight is an old English myth that kind of ties into Arthurian legend. I think there's got a bit of a Welsh history to it as well. The Malbiognan, I can't speak Welsh, but their sort of myth cycle. He shows up at King Arthur's court and issues a challenge to any knight there to strike a blow on him. He gets to take the same swing. So the offer is, try and chop off my head, and if you can do it, fine, I'm dead. But if you can't, I get to take the next swing. And of course he's some magical thing and his head goes back on, and he says, 1 year hence I'll come back to kill the guy who did it. And the guy has to go on a whole quest and journey. And I saw the TV version of that might have been made for the BBC or UTV when I was a kid, and it's one of these things like Round the Twist where it's in the fantasy DNA of my head somewhere, but I can't quite remember it. Do you know what I mean?
Like Chico the Rainmaker.
Maybe that's your Round the Twist, but it means nothing to me.
It was a headless witch doctor. It was just a head of a witch doctor that kids kept in a box, and he was called Chico the Rainmaker, and he used to sing a song, Chico, Chico, the Rainmaker, Chico, Chico, the Rainmaker, Chico, Chico, the Rainmaker, Chico Paka Waka with to make the rain. And one time his head got stuck in a football and went down a river.
Where was Chico supposed to be from?
He was indigenous to somewhere. He was a shrunken head, I think, but kids found him in a house or something. He was alive.
I saw the TV version of this thing where the Green Knight was played by Sean Connery. I think it was Sean Connery.
Oh, wow.
And, it's kind of in his sort of Zardoz phase where, he's doing weird fantasy stuff, and I think he's in tight pants and no shirt, and his head comes off and he's got glitter on his face, and his head gets put back on, and so I've got a soft spot for it. And this thing has some really nice visuals in the trailer. It's from A23, who have it is A23, right?
24,
damn it, who have been doing horror stuff with a real kind of arty, good take on, as much as anything else, the sort of cinematography and the craft of the thing they're making. Basically, I was looking forward to it when I saw the first trailer last year, and it sort of sat idle. It's clearly shot in, I think, Wakelow, and it's got who's the Irish guy that I never remember how to pronounce his name, with the squinty eyes?
Dunkirk.
Barry Keoghan.
Cam with horses. Yeah, Barry Keoghan. That's where I get confused. Do I hit that G or don't I? It looks really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Is basically the extent of my reason for bringing this up. It in some ways reminds me of that Fassbender Macbeth, which again, really striking trailer and visuals, but I don't know, does it necessarily carry through the whole film? Is it enough to make you enjoy the film? I don't know. But that's my, I guess, thought on that, unless you guys watch the trailer or have any thoughts yourselves.
I watched the trailer. I really like the actor guy.
Dev Patel.
It does make me think, though, you were talking there about the old BBC version of it or whatever, the back in the day. I do remember having it, watching, maybe with my brothers at one stage, maybe when I was 11 or 12 or something, could be a little bit older, but it was definitely a movie from, I'd say, the 70s or 80s, and I feel like it was British, but it was a little bit kind of Dungeons and Dragons-y. There was a kind of a quick guy with maybe knives or something. There was a big older guy with kind of who's more strength and things, but they all had there was the monk, the assassin, the wizard, the kind of all that kind of stuff, but kind of the bird kind of stealthy guy. But I can't remember, it was a movie in the 60s or 70s, that was kind of like, and I think it was British, and it was that kind of thing. But and it was good. It was a fantasy movie, but I can't remember. You just popped into my head there, and I've been thinking about it lately, and I want to know what it is, but I don't know.
Do you have any? I mean, you started talking about The Quick Guy, and it reminded me of Baron Munchausen, which is the. Then I got these two mixed up last time. What's the name of the director?
Gilliam,
thank you. Terry Gilliam, as opposed to, who did I mix him up with in the past?
Pratchett and Gaiman. You mixed up last time, I think.
Yeah. Pratchett, Gaiman, Gilliam. The Adventures of Baron Munchausen is one of those movies that, like, there was a trailer for it on the VHS that I can't even remember what movie. I would rent, like, the Transformers movie every week for a year. And, you know, I was fast forwarding the trailers, and every time I'd hit play to see if I was there to play the movie, you know, I'd get the bit in the Baron Munchausen trailer where they've got his head on a chopping block and he's got an axe, and like, any famous last words? And he goes, not yet. Is that famous? So now we're just into the weird fucking speed bumps in my brain.
Solomon Kane, that was a good movie.
That's not the movie he's talking about, though. He's just jumped onto a new movie.
Just to movie us
How
on.
does Brian know? I feel like he's in my brain constantly. It's actually quite helpful sometimes. Makes me have to think.
Was it a good movie?
It's decent. Yeah.
Is it?
You see, Brian's right. I'm right.
Okay, I ignored that because I lumped it in the same vein as what is it? The Black Death with Sean Bean, and the Witches one with Nicolas Cage, and
I know Solomon Kane is
Jonah Hex was around the same time as well.
No, Solomon Kane is a good movie. I think it's the same creator as Conan the Barbarian in terms of the author. But Solomon Kane is a good movie. I did watch it a few times, and I think I watched it recently enough, like in the last couple of years with my dad at one stage. It's fun. It's a good movie.
I would say it's similar enough to that Sean Bean movie, but I think it was
like The Witcher.
Slightly better. It was a much lower budget. It's not amazing, but it's decent, especially given the budget. And James Purefoy looks great in the role. He looks the part.
Was Purefoy a villain on Dexter?
No, I think he was a villain on the Kevin Bacon thing, The Killing.
Yeah.
Who am I thinking of? He was, because we were trying to work out villains.
Are you thinking of Johnny Lee Miller?
No, there was the guy who was like the British assassin because Dexter had killed his lover.
I don't remember the British assassin plotline for Dexter.
He like, it's like he'd killed the wrong guy from the mob.
Are you talking about Chuck?
Nope. Hold on, I'll talk amongst yourselves.
The ice truck. Then there's the lady. Then there was the politician. There was the guy from Hackers. There was Colin Hanks. No, you're talking about the guy who's the Punisher, Ray Stevenson.
Yeah.
Ah, yes.
What was his character in Dexter?
He was the Russian mob hitman guy. Yeah.
God, I don't remember any of that.
Okay.
You're thinking
I made
of
him
him
English
because he's his character. Yeah, his character's Russian. The actor's English. They were both in Rome. That's why you're thinking of him.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
James Purefoy was Mark Anthony, and Ray Stevenson was the kind of fictional character that they made up for the show. He was very good in Dexter, but it just because I think they followed Lithgow with Johnny Lee Miller, and then with Johnny Lee Miller and Colin Hanks and Edward James Olmos, and those two were kind of flat, and Purefoy was the first. Sorry, Stevenson was the first one where I'm like, okay, this guy's actually kind of threatening and interesting. But it never, again, got us up above Lithgow. Brian, you played Resident Evil 8. I did. I finished the story.
Now, I'm going to play it, Brian, so no spoilers.
Oh, fucking
okay. Unless I can dip out for like 5 minutes.
I need 10 minutes of content from you, Brian, without spoilers.
I can do that.
Okay.
You know Brian.
Fuck you, Kevin.
I can talk. No, you can talk. You're very engaging.
I quite liked it. It's 7 was kind of a departure in terms of the convention. It was the first game that was first person.
Okay.
7 was quite good. Like the before 6 had kind of gone off the rails. 6 was like 3 different games in one, and none of them were especially good. It was a bit of a mess. 7 was a nice return to form. 8, Resident Evil Village. I think it's the first time in the series where like the next main kind of title entry has followed on directly from the events of the previous one. So you're playing as Ethan Winters from 7. It's in first person view, but they brought in a lot of popular elements from like other games in the series. So things like the kind of weapons upgrading mechanic, and there being a kind of a merchant character that you purchase stuff from. So gameplay, things like that, really good, really slick, lots of fun. It's well paced. It's short enough, but it's well paced. But it is a little. The kind of final act is a little, feels very rushed. It's kind of unsatisfying given what goes before it. Like it's pretty cohesive, but it does feel like that they had maybe kind of 4 ideas of like things they could do, and then they kind of came up with this village concept as the village is the hub for these kind of 4 separate experiences.
Right. So your character is like, he's the guy that we saw in Florida. He's sent to the small non-specific Eastern European village where there's some shit going down. Has somebody gone missing?
Your child is abducted at the start, and then you find yourself outside this village. So you're just kind of venturing into the village, assuming that your daughter is maybe in there, and then you're kind of figuring things out as you go. That's kind of one of the problems I had with it, is that there's elements of the village that are kind of effective and creepy, but it's quite sparse, and I don't want to spoil too much. It happens early on, but the village is quite sparse. And one of the things I liked about 4, which was quite a while back, is that when you start that game, you're kind of going through the village, and there are people in the village, and you kind of notice that there's something off about them, but it made it kind of a bit creepier that there are people there who aren't quite human, and you're trying to figure out like what's like they seem to be living their lives normally, but then as you kind of approach them, they're very hostile towards you. And this game doesn't have that. The kind of the first kind of antagonist or enemy that you meet in it are werewolves essentially, and they're kind of cool, they're interesting, they're you know, kind of the encounters with them are tense, but the village is otherwise empty except for kind of facing them, and it's less spooky than kind of 4, I guess. So that's kind of one of the problems I kind of had with it. And I think the other thing then would be that you can unlock lots of the concept art after you finish the game, and there's lots of like notes from the art directors in terms of like why they made certain design decisions, or like things that they'd maybe originally planned. And they have so many ideas for like the kind of 4 main kind of boss characters that they just didn't include. So there's a lot of great ideas that they had that they kind of took out at the last minute.
You wish you could have seen.
Yeah. So it kind of feels a bit rushed. There's the castle section is the kind of first part you do, and it's great. But after that, and kind of subsequent playthroughs, they feel a bit more rushed. The kind of main antagonist is very, very underdeveloped. They made a big point of not revealing their face and who they are, and then by the time you kind of encounter them at the end, it's the first time you come across them.
Is Lady Demetrisk? Is it Demetrisk?
The game pronounces it Domitresk, but I believe it's actually supposed to be Dimitrescu. But I think the game pronounces it wrong, is what I've heard.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
making it easy for the user here. She's what we've seen in the marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Is she not the main villain?
No.
Okay.
And they had made that clear that
Yeah.
that she's kind of under someone else. So that much was clear, but the kind of main antagonist, like I said, is very underdeveloped. And then when you look at the concept artwork after playing the game, you realize they have all these great ideas that, for who knows why, but they cut a lot of ideas from it.
So is the game, is it fairly open, or does it feel kind of on rails guided type of thing?
It's linear in terms of your progression. You have to kind of complete the, let's say,
the tasks that are put in front of you?
Yeah, you got to complete those in that given order. And yeah, so the village is kind of like a hub for these 4 other sections you got to complete.
Areas.
Okay. And it, like I said, it is good. It's well paced, but kind of on subsequent playthroughs, you can get through some parts much, much faster when it's not your first time going through it. And they feel then, in comparison, they feel a little light or less fleshed out than.
Have you gone back and played moments again?
Yeah.
Have you gone specifically back to play moments, or are you just like, I died and now I'm back here and I'm playing, or are you just going, I want to do that again?
There's kind of like a couple of challenges and things that you're kind of saying, okay, I want to see if I can do that. Like, can I complete this section in less time, or that kind of thing. So
okay,
yeah. But it's great, and I think there's a moment in it that is probably up there with, the top 5 or 3 moments in Resident Evil games. I won't spoil too much. If you've seen any of the trailers, it kind of shows these 4 characters who are going to be the kind of the 4 antagonists. So there's Dimitrescu, who's the tall vampire lady. There's Moreau, who is a kind of a sea monster looking thing.
Ooh.
There's Heisenberg, who is
a drug dealer.
He's a guy with a hat and a hammer. Nothing to do with the other Heisenberg.
The other hat.
Yeah. And then there is a character called Donna Beneviento, and you see her when you see her, she's in the background. She's wearing like kind of a funeral shroud. She's dressed all in black. You can't see her face, and she has a little kind of marionette doll, which is in a kind of a bridal dress. But the doll is super creepy, and she communicates through the doll. The doll can kind of walk around and so on. So the second kind of section you go through in the game is House Beneviento, which is dealing with that part, and it's all kind of psychological horror. And there's a moment in it which made me out loud say, "What the fuck?" Pause the game and get up and leave the room for a few minutes.
Oh, really, Brian? Do you think I'll enjoy the game?
I think so. Yeah, like it is a good game. It is good. It's just a little disappointing at the end, and then, like I said, on a subsequent playthrough, you can kind of get through stuff much faster, and some later parts don't hold up as well. They're fine on your first playthrough, but on a later playthrough, they don't hold up as well as the stronger parts, and it does feel a little bit like it's just it's interesting. Was it rushed, or did they? It's kind of it's you wonder why they cut some stuff. What the thinking behind it was, because there's a lot of good stuff in there. It gets a bit action, like I said, it gets a bit action heavy at the end, which is a nice break on your first playthrough, but on a subsequent playthrough, it's kind of like, this section, it doesn't hold up as good as the stronger parts of the game. But definitely, I'd recommend it. I still enjoyed it. Looks gorgeous, looks incredible, and it's got some really effective moments. Basically, like you kind of want more of the good moments, and it has plenty of them, and then you kind of wonder why they didn't come up with more of those, essentially.
Do you reckon it's a good game if you want to sit in for the weekend and play it?
Definitely, yeah. Like I said, it's well paced.
The weather today
is like an 8-hour campaign though.
It's longer than that. I'd imagine some people could do it in less time than that, but it isn't as long as I think it's about similar length to the RE2 remake. Similar enough to that, I'd imagine.
Remastered, Brian. God.
No, remake.
You're the worst.
Remake, actually.
It actually is a remake, isn't it? Why do they call it remastered? Because they changed parts of it.
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
A remaster would be if they update the
Change
original
nothing.
code. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a ground up remake. So fuck you, Kevin. Fuck you very much.
Right, you're right. Fuck me. Big ol' fuck me. Yep.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do next.
Oh god, it takes ages then, though, doesn't it?
To get another game.
Yeah.
I believe.
How long did it take them to make this one? And you played it through inside of a week, and you're like, be interested to see what they do next.
Yeah.
Pricks.
But the thing is well, there's been talk. I suspect like they've remade 2 and 3. 2 was really, really well received. The expectation is that like 4 is the high point of the series, and they'd be fools not to remake 4. And then I wonder, did they develop a lot of these village assets? Because 8 is clearly very inspired by 4. I feel like, did they develop a lot of assets for 4 remake and say, hey, well,
by doing 8?
4. No, I actually wonder, is it the other way around? Is it that in developing 4, and 4 is a longer game, did they say 4 isn't ready to go yet? Let's make another entry with Ethan Winters from 7 using some of these village assets we've developed. And is that maybe why the game feels a bit rushed? Is that 4 is taking up more time? Because the length of 4's campaign is quite long.
Yeah.
And is that maybe what happened? That I wild speculation here, but it kind of feels like.
Yeah.
And that
was 4 the one that was on with the Wii?
Well, it was on. It was on everything eventually. It was originally released on the GameCube, and then it was such a hit. It's been re-released. It's on everything. You can buy it for the PS4.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was playing it on the Wii, and I got with the controls are so clunky, I just couldn't do it.
But I wonder, is that maybe what happened, that they've developed all these assets for 4, and then 4 is not ready to go, but they need to release something. And maybe they'd already always planned to release 8, I'm not sure. But it kind of does feel like that. And the reason I'm saying like I'm interested to see what they do next is the end of the game explicitly sets up either some DLC or the next sequel. So
did they release any DLC for the last one?
For 7, they did for 7, not for.
Did I play it on there? I must have. I think I played some of it. I love the Saw aspect of that game.
7's excellent.
Did either of you play Assassin's Creed Valhalla?
Nope.
I gave up on the Assassin's Creed games. I think what was the last one I played was 4, the pirate one. I think that was the last one I played.
I've not played it. To be honest, I mostly play games Brian's played. Most of my kind of games that I do. Yeah,
you've got a critic whose opinion you respect, and you play the games he recommends.
Yeah, and also Brian knows what I like and don't like. Like Brian wouldn't necessarily recommend Final Fantasy to me, but he'd recommend like
Resident Evil 8.
Yeah, like whatever, you know. Brian does kind of.
Well, I'm just curious about the Valhalla one specifically, as they released a DLC this week called The Curse of the Druids or something like that. So Valhalla takes place in Norway and Britain, and this is a 10-hour campaign expansion that brings you to Ireland. And I'm just,
Oh, it brings you to Ireland.
Egocentric. So, you arrive in Dublin and you travel around all of Ireland. Now, that being said, I was watching one review and it's got all of the lush rolling hills of Ireland, and they pan the camera and there's like a fucking Lucky Charms rainbow in the background, and I'm like, are there rainbows in other parts of the game, or did they just add that because we're in Ireland now? But
well, it's not an accurate representation of Ireland. We do have rainbows.
We do have the odd rainbow, yeah. But I just thought it would be funny if there's literally rainbows in it now because we're in Ireland, and if you can get to the end of that rainbow.
Yeah. I didn't realise there was a game set in Ireland. I wonder, could I go to my hometown? I know it's obviously it's set back in the day, but
it's probably just
it's probably geographically.
Could
I go there?
Just Dublin, I'd imagine.
No. There's a whole map of Ireland you can run around in. And I saw someone we know put up a picture of they put up a picture of like a little dock and a levee and a water, and it just went, oh, they've got an accurate representation of Dundalk. Just a handful of planks and a dinghy, which is funny, but like, I don't know, like, I haven't played the game. I don't know if that's literally, we're going to Dundalk and you arrive at a small port and it's like, in the year 800 was Dundalk just a tiny port with a couple of, like, is this accurate? I don't know. I would assume no.
People are selling ducks in Dublin City.
People are stealing ducklings out of the canal and selling them on the fucking internet.
They're selling them on, like, they're selling them around like the streets, like this. Okay, this sounds like, do you know where your children are? But they actually are. There's vendors just selling them on the street because TikTok.
Much too old to be a duckling.
Quack quack. Arseholes selling fucking ducks though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and like as you said, they're robbing them, they're stealing them out of the canal, they're taking them from farms. Yeah.
Because people have ducks on TikTok.
They're selling them as, because there's some trend on TikTok, like day in the life of a duck. I have no idea. I think TikTok, like all other social media things, is probably whatever. Who cares? It's awful. Everything's awful.
TikTok is great. You watch them out.
Comparison is
I love TikTok.
Thief of happiness.
I love TikTok. You shut your wet mouth.
Follow at the Endless Cast on TikTok. You will find clips and drawings on there.
Do we have a TikTok?
Yeah.
We have a TikTok. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm on TikTok. I'm TikTok famous. I'm gonna get ducks. Hang on.
Yeah, we do. Same login as the Instagram if you're so inclined.
No one's inclined, not even me. I was going to say John Mulaney though. I will say because what was it? Was a Christmas special? I can't remember.
The Sack Lunch Bunch. The Sack Lunch Bunch.
And I think if people, I think if people haven't seen it, they should watch it. It's very, very funny. It's possibly one of the funnier. Like I don't watch a whole lot of stand up on Netflix, and I think that's one of the funnier things I've seen. And the song about trigonometry is so catchy. Till this day, it's still stuck in my mind.
How did he lose his eye?
About algebra.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Oh, algebra. Yeah, it's so good. That song is so good. That man's voice is beautiful.
He's fantastic.
Yes, but it's a really, 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 really funny show.
I just find myself muttering, plain plate and noodles with a little bit of butter. Yeah, I know. It's a great. It's actually hilarious. If people haven't seen it, it's worth a watch, isn't it? It's good. John Mulaney on Netflix has the Comeback Kid, Kid Gorgeous, and then a variety special with a bunch of children called The Sack Lunch Bunch, which is fun. And Jake Gyllenhaal is in it.
Jake Gyllenhaal is excellent in it.
I don't know what to say about it. I mean, it was well received when it was released. It was released in the end of 2019, though, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, before the end times.
Before the end times.
Jupiter's Legacy.
That's probably the best thing to do, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Hold on, let me just recap. We went Resident Evil, Assassin's Creed, Valhalla, got us to Dundalk, got us to Ducks, got us to Quack Quack, John Mulaney, comedy special, music special, Netflix, Jupiter's Legacy. So, I watched the rest of Jupiter's Legacy. Kevin, you did the same thing. Brian, understandably, did not put himself through the ordeal, which is fair. It never really lands the superhero thing that it's doing. I'm never happy with it. I don't like the costumes. I don't like the fighting. But the telling of the story of them getting their powers and the world that they build around them. Skyfox's kid is interesting. The daughter is an interesting storyline. The idea that the code is falling apart. I ended up liking a lot of it. None of it was the sort of superhero fighting bit. And Sheldon's journey to the island where he got the powers did feel like you're spending an entire series giving me an origin story of characters that we already are dealing with. 100 years later. Do you know what I mean? It's a weird way of telling a story to be hopping around in a timeline. Like, tell me one of these stories is kind of where I landed on it.
Is there going to be a season 2? I don't know why I heard there's only going to be one episode, one season. So that's it.
There's going to have to be based on the way it ended.
Netflix own Miller World. I doubt they'd only make one season of this.
Because like, okay, so if they're going to make a second season, like I know where it's going and essentially what they'll do. Like kind of like, right. So we all agreed in previous podcasts that Mark Miller essentially writes movie scripts, then storyboards them, and that's packaged as a comic book.
Prints them and sells them in comic book shops.
Yes, yeah. Well, but you'd agree with that, right? Essentially.
Yeah, but I do want to go. I don't judge that. That's a great way to operate, and people are bitter at him because he fucking cracked the code for himself.
No,
you know?
but my thing is, my thing is like I'm not begrudging him that at all, because let's be honest, I read Kick-Ass, it works. I read Jupiter's Legacy. Like, you know, he can write a good story. When you get someone like Frank Outley, or what's his name?
Quietly.
Mm-hmm.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly, when we get someone like Quite Frankly doing a book, you guys are bigger fans of him. I think only until I actually revisited Jupiter's Legacy last week that I was looking at his artwork going like, actually, I kind of like it, you know. But I immediately swayed. I have no spine.
It takes a bit of staring at it.
Yeah,
you really do gotta. You kind of gotta accept this scratchy line work and really look at the pose and the performances in the drawings, and then you start.
We got him on this. We're so close with Speed Racer. We just got to keep going.
I was going to say Speed Racer. If I ever come back and say Speed Racer was a good movie, like kind of like sit me down and be like, stop, Kevin. You're a people pleaser. You have no spine. Have some conviction. You're a horrible human being.
A goal for this podcast for me would be to get enough of a following to do a live screening of Speed Racer with Kevin sat in the front row.
Clockwork Orange style with his eyes pried open.
Peeled open. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Aiden brings me to things and it never end well. But the improv did not go well. I broke it.
You did well, actually. Yeah, you did. Sorry, I brought Kevin to an improv show one time, and he got brought up and asked to go through an Instagram account that he followed by way of inspiration for the show that would ensue afterwards.
Which I didn't realize was the context of this thing. I actually don't even follow this account. I just thought it would be interesting enough for people to look at it.
And it was an account of.
It's called Snake Pit,
and they're controversial or botched tattoos, really.
Yeah, they're awful tattoos. Yeah, some of them are good, but yeah, but concept wise they're all gross, basically.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't judge. Some of them are technically good, but they're all gross, basically. So he just took an entire room full of people and grossed them out, and then left 10 improv actors to try and make a show based on gross concepts.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was going on.
Yeah,
I didn't realize. I thought they just wanted to kind of like have a bit of banter.
You think that went wrong? I think everybody there, and maybe this is egocentric of it, but like, I think that night was much funnier because the room was so uncomfortable, and they were all laughing because of how uncomfortable they were, and the performers were so uncomfortable going near any of the concepts that you had put in front of them. I think that was a fucking high watermark night for me.
Remember they stopped it?
I don't know.
They were just at one point there during the improv. They were like, "Okay, stop." One guy was taking off his clothes, and it was just like, "Stop."
Oh, he took off his trousers, and they stopped it, and one of the other performers gave him a reprimand. Like it was in context of the show. He's going, "Look, we're all trying to be funny, but there's a line here."
yeah. Anyways, it wasn't my fault, and then yeah. But anyways, whatever I was gonna say is, Mark Miller, he pretty much puts together these comics with storyboards and whatever. It was good to go, is what I'm trying to say. It was good to go for a TV show, and they fucked around with it so much. They absolutely butchered it. They butchered the storytelling, they butchered the character flow, they butchered the character development, they butchered the main plot lines. There's so much stuff they put into it that was so rubbish. And like, I was actually watching it going like, did I misinterpret the book completely. I didn't like it because I read the book. I'm trying to be impartial, but it wasn't great.
The 1930s stuff was cool.
That's the best stuff in the book as well.
If I was watching that show, they did that really well. I think they did that really well. I think by the time they crack the code and they go through the ordeal and they get themselves the powers and they arrive back at the boat, like fucking spoilers, guys, they end up with superpowers. But like the music build, the last shot of them flying in, I thought it was great. I think they did a great job there.
In the book, basically, though, kind of like Shelby hears the voice. It's not his father. Wall Street does crash and things, and they do lose stuff. It's not his father. I don't think it's just a random voice. He hears it in his dreams and stuff, and he very calmly just tells his friends, and their friends are just like, well, Shelby, if he believes in something, he believes in something, and they all just blindly follow. There's no struggle like that. I did like the stuff with Walt and George and things, because that does come into kind of play in the future, but yeah, we'll see.
But I think to be fair to the show, like, introducing that level of conflict in the 1930s makes that really watchable. Like, if there wasn't, like, if everybody just said, yep, he's right, his father's died, his company's lost his business, he's hearing voices, let's get in a boat and head out into the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, I wouldn't buy that in a TV show either. I think the fact that he had to make it happen and had to convince them to do it. And also we got to see Kurtwood Smith, who I always enjoy, pop up.
That's the guy.
That's the guy out in the Miller farm. Which
I only just,
as I said it out loud, went, of course it's called the Miller Farm because it's Mark Miller.
I would say all that Golden Age stuff in the comic books is brilliant, and I really, really loved it. And it's actually definitely the better stuff in the story. I think they could have done a little bit less of, like, maybe it depends on how season 2 goes. Obviously they're trying to stress out that like golden era stuff maybe, but they missed out on good stuff. I think, depending on where season 2 goes. But it's like, I think structurally I was far more invested in the characters and story development of those people in the books, and it just was very lackluster in the movie.
Yeah, and like as we talk it through, it's like the stuff that's happening in a contemporary setting, I don't know. I don't think I had an arc there. You know what I mean? I think there's a story in that 30s section. There is a journey that they go on. We beginning, middle, and end at it. This whole section with Walt as the cousin or the uncle, and Black Star and the psychic imprint of Skyfox, and like it doesn't go anywhere in season 1, and it's not interesting enough in season 1 to carry me through it. Like whatever else is going on in season 1, episodes 3 through 5, I all but forget Black Star's body is being examined.
See, none of I'm not going to be. I'll stop drawing comparisons to the book, but it's just like none of that's in the book, and it's just, I don't know, it's just a weird one. That's my whole point. Is like Miller he has these things packaged and ready to go, and they're good. They could have gotten like 2-3 seasons out of the whole thing, even if they did like a kind of flash, even if it started off with a very poignant moment in the books and then just went straight to the golden era before there were superheroes, and that was the next 6 episodes, and then it finished off with a little bit of continuation of the contemporary storyline, and then season 2 going into the contemporary storyline of the whole thing, would have been so much better, I think, personally. But yeah, they took weird approaches.
I'd like to see them get Matthew Vaughn come in and do a season or a series, whatever they do next.
Do you want him to do Jupiter's Legacy, or do you just want him to do something on Netflix?
Don't really care. Just do something on Miller World specifically, because
okay,
yeah.
Was he behind Kick-Ass initially?
Yeah,
him and Jane what's her name? Jane,
is it Goldman? I think
Goldman.
That's the producer, is it?
The writer.
But no, like he seems to be a good partner with Miller's stuff. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, yeah, he gets it. Yeah.
I didn't like Kick-Ass 2 though.
But he didn't do Kick-Ass 2.
Well, you see, there you go.
He did.
I didn't like Kingsman 2. Did he do that?
He might have done the second one, I think. I actually can't be sure. I know he did the first one. I don't know if he did the second or not. I'm not sure.
Second one's no good. Second one breaks it, if you ask me.
Yeah, I loved the first one. It's such a pity. First one is excelente.
Yeah, anytime you get the Americans involved, it starts to fall asunder.
Well, it was Cowboys though, so it was very disappointing.
Oh, you do love a cowboy, don't you?
Yeah, I do. And Channing Tatum.
Yeah, we know which YMCA guy you are.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, so I mean, I guess that's a review. Like, I like Josh Duhamel's stuff. I just like the 30s stuff.
Best stuff in the book, man. Read the books. And Will Torres' art. I know I've always said it. You'd love that 30s stuff, man. And his artwork is amazing. Yeah. I think you should read the book.
Yeah. I think it's not that I don't think there's stuff to do in the modern day stuff. I think they didn't put enough into it, and they spent more time on the. Who am I to be fucking talking about what the schedules were? But like, I just didn't care about the contemporary stuff as much because the Utopian is such a flat character, you know. Like Sheldon in the 30s is, you know, he's having a breakdown and he's doing a lot and he's pushed in certain directions and he's wobbly and whatever. But when he's you know, he's this flat fucking thing. Like the first episode I enjoyed was episode 3 because you don't deal with him or his family at all. We're dealing with Sky Fox's kid robbing the place, and he's more interesting. And you've got the big guy and the twins, and like there's some interesting stuff happening with the other characters in the world, and it's more fun. Right, look, we'll draw a line under Jupiter's Legacy there. I'm sure season 2 is going to go. There's no way they don't, especially on that cliffhanger, especially as they've invested in costumes and sets.
Like, I know this place sounds silly, but like, you know, if they bring out, like, I don't know, if it was like they bring out action figures or like extra merchandise based off it or anything cool based off of the things, it's like potentially like I could see some sort of, or like if they got more comic books out of it, it's like great, whatever, you know. But the TV show is a TV show, and I'll always just enjoy the books. I might buy a Utopian action figure based on the book, though. Not denying. I'm getting an Invincible and Omni-Man action figure. I don't know why. I think I saw it. I was very hyped on Invincible at the moment.
So you are hyped on Invincible at the moment?
I was during the cartoon. I was watching the cartoon, reading the comics, and I was just all hyped on Invincible. And I went out and I bought 2 toys, and I haven't done that.
Oh, cool.
Haven't got them yet, though. No big deal. I'm not worried. I'm very worried.
Next on my list then is Castlevania. That basically just came out yesterday, and I'm on episode 9. I'm enjoying this one. I'm enjoying this season. I think there's more action in this season than in the previous ones. It's just moving quicker. Maybe I'm wrong. Would you agree, Brian? I know you're watching it as well.
Yeah. I think the first season was quite slow. It took me a while I had to rewatch the first season a few times, if I remember correctly. I think it has moved faster in subsequent seasons. I like the show. I think the writing is quite strong in terms of the plotting, things like that. It still suffers for me that same problem of, you know, it's seeming like the ambition is greater than the time or money that they have. So
yeah,
for me it's kind of ropey in places. But I do like it.
I mean, I was watching last night and I paused in a few places and was just like, ugh, that is a rough fucking drawing. But like, that again comes from, there's a moment when Lenore is in a cage. I don't know what episode you're in, and stuff is happening. She's the one of the 4 vampire queens that have that castle, and Hector has a cage and Lenore's in the cage, and she's watching on through her fingers. I don't know, her pinky and index are spread and her 2 middle fingers are together, and she's got them up and she's like peering through her pinkies, and it's just an ugly drawing, and I don't know what the fuck it's trying to convey other than just they needed a shot of Lenore at that moment and didn't know what to do with her. Like, I don't know if she's scared, angry, horrified, cursing, and it's one of those sort of action holds where she's not really doing anything, we're just seeing her.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that they're incapable.
Yeah.
It's just that they had so much else to do that they just put something in here and moved on. And that's completely understandable. I've done it myself, but it is just, you see it and you go, "Yuck."
Yeah, and I think you see it quite a bit, and it's just you kind of, when it looks so good in places, you just kind of want it to look consistently good. But I think, compared to other shows, I think the kind of writing of it is stronger than some other animation that Netflix have done, I think. But yeah, I like it. That's the thing, is like, if it's the type of show that I would have like hoped for, when I was younger, like a kind of an animated show that looks the way it does, looks like the artwork from the games, and you would just kind of wish that, I wish there was a cartoon of this. That would be so cool. And then they make one, and it's clearly inspired by stuff I love, like, Ninja Scroll, Vampire Hunter D. It's definitely got that influence. And in stills, it looks as good as those, and then in motion, it's not quite up there. It's like, it's this would have been a dream show for me 10 or 15 years ago. Yeah.
And where, like, I know it's Powerhouse Animation. I think they're in Austin. I'm trying to think of the names that are the driving forces behind it. I hear Samuel Dietz and Adam something other. They're the big names I see when I see Twitter, and I see, lead directors and stuff like that. You'll see their names all over the credits. Do you know where it's animated subsequently?
Not sure, actually.
From the concept of I know they do a lot in terms of storyboarding and keying, and I think I get Adam and Samuel mixed up on my Twitter feed, but they've done key sequences themselves, or keyed out massive sections of it. But a lot of the bulk of animation work still gets sent away to what's the word I'm looking for? Regions, locales. It's cheaper to animate in Canada than it is to animate in LA. It's cheaper to animate in Ireland than it is to animate in Canada. It's cheaper to animate in Korea than it is to animate in Ireland. The trade-off is always time zone communication and to some degree ability. I don't know who you'd come to Ireland to do a Castlevania.
Me. that was a joke there, because I'm not.
Because that would take a while, wouldn't it, Brian? I'm enjoying this season a lot. I think the last season really was kind of ponderous. I didn't while there was cool moments in it. I think this last season was the village and the cursed church. They kept trying to find their way into the basement.
Yep.
Am I right?
Yep.
Do you remember this? And the infinite corridor stuff. But the season before that was the battle with the vampires that ended in Dracula's castle.
I think so. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I'm getting. Season 1 they ended up killing Dracula. Season 2 there's a battle in the castle. Season 3 it's the village, and it's just because season 2 ended on such a high note for me. Season 3 was just really fucking ponderous, and I was like, I watched it and I enjoyed bits of it, but I'm like, this is thing. And I think it's season 3 is when they introduced the Smiths or the Forges or whatever they're called, and it was a lot of learning who these characters were, and a lot of time with Isaac, just walking around the place with night creatures around him, chatting to them, and all I wanted was more, Belmont and Sypha and Alucard killing things.
I'm watching a show called Win the Wilderness. Basically, it's quite impressive because this man and woman trekked 15 days, I think it was something like 57 miles into the Alaskan kind of wilderness, and found a plot of land for themselves and built their house and a runway where people can when they're visiting them can come and land. They lived in a small shack for 9 years before they actually finished their house. They have a greenhouse and a barn and all that kind of stuff. It's really interesting. But then I think it's 7 British couples were selected to go to Alaska, and they're basically to set up these little camps on the land of the house, and each of them had to compete and ultimately win the house from the old people that built it 30 odd 40 odd years ago, because they're getting too old to live there and it's too isolated, so they're moving out. So they want to give it to somebody. So the idea is people go there to do these challenges. Whoever does best in the challenges gets selected to go and stay a night in the old couple's house, and they kind of get to talk to the old couple, and the old couple's asking like what's their life, their experiences, what they hope to do in Alaska and the house and all that kind of stuff. It's good, but it's basically it's 7 British couples interview with an older couple whilst doing daytime activities.
That is a bonkers concept for a TV show.
Yeah, it is weird because like they're going to get in the house. Obviously, the TV show is paid for, but yeah, I don't know.
The TV show is obviously paying to move the old couple, somewhere else, right?
Well, the old couple just mustn't be able to live there, so they're selling it. And the TV show are like, well, look, we'll buy it if we do this TV. This is such an interesting listing. We can make a competition out of this. I don't know why it's 7 British people, because you'd imagine visa wise and stuff there'd be complications. So, okay, Alaska's pretty an isolated place, anyways. But it's like, surely people would be able to travel in and out of Alaska from America domestically easier than it would be for people to travel internationally. So, and that's my thing. Sorry,
it is Alaska, is it? It's not a
yes, it's Alaska,
Canadian region, because then you get the Commonwealth thing.
It could be a Canadian region, but I don't think so.
Why would I doubt you?
I can't remember. Yeah, well, you have plenty of reasons to doubt me, but I can't remember.
Where are you watching that then?
Netflix.
Okay, I'll have a look. I'll have a look.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, I told you guys I ate meat this week.
Okay.
I ate 3 sausages, pork sausages.
Do you want to give us the context and give us a story for the sake of the podcast?
I haven't eaten meat since September. Myself and my partner have gone vegan. We did initially as a challenge, not for any particular reason. It was something we were doing with a friend, just kind of like a healthy gut thing or something. And then we actually really liked it, so we kept it going. And now, obviously I feel bad for animals and stuff, so I'm happy I'm not eating meat. But unfortunately, Super Daddy beside me doing renovations. They're moving stuff around every day. You go in there, it's a different layout. It's hectic. Obviously, there's a lot going on for them. It's complicated. There's a vegan food section in the shop, and it's great. And it always has the latest products and like different things. It's brilliant. But staff had put some sausages into the meat sausages Rudd's meat sausages into the vegan section of the shop, and I accidentally picked them up, and I would put them into a barbecue flavor, because I would never eat barbecue sausages. I wasn't particularly interested, but I was like, there was Rudd's, it's meat free, I'll try them out and see what they're like. And I was like, wow, these taste great. They're really juicy. They I was like, and I was still thinking like they still taste pretty processed because they're really barbecuey, but it was pretty good. I had them in a bread roll, and I ate the entire bread roll. And I said then to Emer, came back into the room, and I was just like, wow, those sausages were pretty impressive. Blah 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 blah. And then Emer checked the pack, and she's like, yeah, they're 80% Irish pork or something. Blah blah. And I was just like, oh shit. So yeah, I ate some sausages, meat sausages. I didn't feel sick. It was a mistake. Everybody's mistake, but whatever.
Did you then fall off some sort of meat wagon and go on a meat bender?
No meat benders, no meat wagon, which is a restaurant in Dublin. No, I did not. The dog was happy. She got 3 extra sausages, but and I actually bought her regular sausages anyways, because the dog doesn't have to be pretty vegan, and she needs to put on weight. So, but yeah, so that's pretty much the most intense thing, or the most interesting that happened to me this week is I ate 3 pork sausages. I thought I'd get the old bubble guts, and I didn't.
So you've returned to the vegan system.
Yes.
Very good. Good man.
Yeah, I can't really beat myself up over it. I was annoyed initially, but more for myself. Just check your things. People out there, whether your allergies and your food preferences or dietary preferences, always check before you buy. Otherwise, you'll die.
That's not true.
Could be true. If it's peanuts.
Yes, there are things you should not consume. You should probably look at what you're putting in your face.
Yes.
So we've touched on Jupiter's Legacy, Castlevania, Kevin's digestive habits. I've got a few other small notes here, but otherwise we can start to look to wrap things up. I watched the trailer for Protege from the people that brought you John Wick. It's got Michael Keaton. It's got Samuel L. Jackson. It's got Maggie Q, I think. It looked terrible, and I did not make it through the trailer. So I think that would probably be a direct-to-video number if this was 1997, and we wouldn't see it. I could be wrong. I like all those people, but I think putting from the people that brought you John Wick at the end of things is the equivalent of saying, from the people that brought you The Matrix. Like, a lot of bad movies were made from the people that brought you.
Yeah. No shit. Yeah, no shit. Speed Racer, for example. The people that brought you The Matrix.
I then watched the trailer for The Misfits with Pierce Brosnan in it, and I also did not get through that either.
No, I stopped literally halfway. Awful.
It looks no good. These just fall into a category of just, I don't know, mid-budget action movie that keeps people employed. Like there was a real thing around union performers doing something in order to keep their health insurance.
I like a good heist movie. I like a clever heist movie. Obviously, then you see the likes of The Misfits. That's a heist movie as far as I know. I only watched half the trailer, but no, not good at all. I love a heist movie. And things like Ronin and Heat and stuff, I think that's what all of these, like the likes of Misfits, they're all trying, like that's basically what they're trying for.
There is a sense that they were just shooting a movie on whatever island Pierce Brosnan is retired to, and he wandered into it. What's the trailer for Stillwater with Matthew Damon? The dorky Matthew Damon.
Matt Damon. Do people call him Matthew Damon?
I have taken to calling him Matthew Damon in the last couple of minutes.
You probably rubbed shoulders with him because you're all sophisticated. That's your side of town.
Stillwater is the story of an American father trying to prove or defend his daughter who has been imprisoned in where is she? France? Italy? Looks like she went to Europe, got accused of murder, got imprisoned. He's trying to get her out. It looks like Taken meets the Amanda Knox story. Could be good. I don't know. Like the trailer, it looked like a solid enough trailer in that sort of vein, but like at the same time, I think I've seen stories like this before, so it might be a Matt Damon movie that it's in his canon, but it's not going to do huge. Do you ever see Green Zone?
Why does that sound so familiar? I remember it.
He's got a whole bunch of movies that you like. Definitely they spent money on this, and definitely it's well-made film, but like it gets watched and goes away, and that's that. I'm sure that's true of many, many actors. After that, I took a big jump backwards to 1962, and I watched the original James Bond movie, Dr. No. I have like 4 scenes of that movie in my head from growing up and watching it. But watching it again for the first time in a long time, there's so much of it that I didn't remember, and there's so much of it that's actually really quite good. I mean, it had to have been because it started this off, but like you think of Bond as a formulaic franchised thing, and they hadn't established the formula in the first couple, so they're wobblier and they're different, and it is kind of more interesting seeing this guy kind of wandering around this town trying to get to the bottom of a mystery. And there is more of that than I expected. And I'd seen this film, I just completely forgotten about it. The stuff that happens on the island that they get out to is, an hour and 10, an hour at least anyway, into it. And that's the section of the movie that everybody remembers when they think of Dr. No. So, I don't know, I was pleasantly surprised by this film that I had kind of written off as something I've seen and didn't need to see again. And I watched it and was like, oh yeah, there is more to this than I remember. There is a funniness watching these old movies though, because I've watched a few of these older Bond movies in the last while, where continuity does big gaps in continuity and rough editing, like rolls out of a car, picks himself up, swings back with his right hand to throw a punch, the shot changes, and then his left hand punches somebody. Like big glaring continuity errors like that, but they're just kind of funny. It was fun to go back and see the first Bond movie, with, in theory, the 23rd or 22nd one coming out this year. that movie keeps getting pushed.
I think they're doing reshoots because technology's outdated. How the product placement's outdated.
Are they reshooting?
I heard they had to reshoot some scenes because the product placement and all the initial advertising that they had planned and marketing is all outdated now.
Yeah, though, like for a long while now, those movies will have whatever cell phone Sony's trying to plug or whatever laptop Sony's trying to plug, like in use in the movie. But it's a year and a half to 2 years past when they wanted to release it, so you know that's not the phone they're plugging anymore. That's not the watch Amiga they're trying to sell. That's not the car.
Yeah, that's why I heard they were doing research. Maybe Brian told me that, I don't know, or you told me, Aiden. But yeah, that they have to do research because of the product.
I think that one needs fact checking. I definitely mentioned to you before that they were going to run up against the problem that like they had a lot of magazine shoots pre-shot with the cast of the movie holding phones and things that just no longer relevant.
Have you ever bought a product based off it being used in a movie? Like say a phone,
based
for
off
example,
it being
or
used
laptop
in a
or something?
movie.
Like, you know, the way there was
Yeah,
always,
the
like,
Matrix phone was a
phones and
thing
different
that
things like
people
that.
kind of wanted, but it was so fucking expensive. I don't think it was useful. Yeah, I think I'm the same way. I don't think
I don't think I got anything, to be honest.
I don't think I'm buying technology or.
I might see something like where like someone's just like you're watching something and like they could be like, let's get some like chimichangas, and then you're like, so what's a chimichanga? And then you see like, oh, it's a deep fried burrito, and it's just like, oh, I'm gonna try that. Stuff like that happens to me.
So you are led by the food of it.
Yeah, or else I could be watching something and they'll be like eating hot dogs, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna get some hot dogs.
What's the plan for next week? Is there anything you guys want to watch specifically? I saw Love, Death and Robots hit.
Army of Darkness is out next week, right?
Army of the Dead?
Army of the Dead or whatever, yeah. Is it? Maybe it's not.
It's out on the 21st, I think.
Oh, you're right, Brian. Sorry, yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, that's an easy one.
That's a Saturday, though, is it? 21st?
21st is a Friday. And is that a Netflix release?
Yep.
Okay.
It's out in the cinema now, I think, and it'll be on Netflix next week if I've got that right. I think, yeah.
Other than that, my plan for the day is I shared a video with you yesterday of somebody who made the drinks from Cowboy Bebop. He picked 3 of the cocktails that were put together over the course of that show, and he made them. And he's got a little menu of how to go about that. And I think I'm going to try a prairie oyster and
That's awesome.
and a cowboy.
You're going to try a prairie oyster.
Why not?
Okay.
Wait, what's that?
Let me know how that goes.
Well, now there's, as far as my understanding goes, there's a couple of versions of what a prairie oyster is. I'm talking about the drink, not the food stuff.
I assume you're not going to do like what's actually in the show.
Well, it's an egg yolk, pinch of salt,
okay.
pepper, 2 dashes of Worcestershire sauce, 1 dash hot sauce, shot of gin, and shoot it.
Okay.
Does that look? Is that all together?
That sounds awful. That sounds really bad.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's something to do with the day.
Absolutely. Let me know how it goes. I'm excited to hear.
Sure, I suggest you try it yourself and
No.
join in.
No. If I'm making anything today, it'll be a Sazerac or a mojito. Probably be a mojito because I have the ingredients. But I do want to make a Sazerac. It's been too long. I say that as it was December. I remember exactly. That is kind of long, I guess.
Oh, yes. Oh, actually, 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds less standard of living than
Yeah,
our
that was a
parents.
study that came out about Ireland. This generation of Irish citizens are the first generation to be worse off than their parents in the history of the Free State. Now, that is only 2-3 generations, 100 and odd years, but at the same time, it's not great.
How does that make you feel?
I mean, I put on an episode of Friends the other day and the theme tune kind of hit different, you know? No one told you life was going to be this way.
Oh,
Your job's a joke. You're broke.
I've been thinking that for a
Your
while.
love life's DOA. Like,
Your love life's
it was
DOA.
funny in 1995, but then, like, now it's kind of real.
I saw a statistic this week that I think the boomer generation, when they reached adulthood, accounted for something like 21% of the world's wealth. And then Gen X accounted for around 8% of the world's wealth. And millennials have 4% of the world's wealth. Mark Zuckerberg accounts for 2% of that entire wealth.
Oh my God. One person. Oh my God.